Hello, I'm Graham Jones and welcome to channel KT4 broadcasting live on Facebook and YouTube. You can join in by sending in questions during the show. Just press the comments button on the screen. Don't forget to click the like or share buttons. If you're watching on YouTube, please click to subscribe to channel KT4. I'm so pleased to welcome to my virtual studio Stephen McCormick, a Residents Association Borough Councillor for Woodcote Ward and a member of Woodcote Epsom Residents Society. Welcome, Stephen. Thank you for taking the time to join me here on channel KT4.
Thank you very much, Graham, and thank you very much for a kind invite to come and have a chat with you today. Most welcome to be here. Pleased to be here.
No, it really is good to see you, and it's a gorgeous day as well. Yeah, blue skies I'm looking at out of the window, and here we are, sat in a virtual studio. When it'd be far better if we could have got together outside and done a bit of filming. That would have been really good.
It certainly would have been. I must admit, I've taken advantage of the good weather, and I've been out for a run this morning. So, but yeah, hopefully we're coming out of the other side of the COVID pandemic situation. So fingers crossed it's going to get better. 2021 is going to be a good year.
I think it is. I hope you did a run for me, by the way, whilst you were out.
No, just one's enough. Thank you very much.
Okay. Look, I see you live in Epsom, and that's kind of like Epsom Downs area where the hospital is and everything. And I see that you have a slight accent in your voice from a little further north, a bit like mine, really. So tell me a little bit about that, Steve.
Yeah, sure. It does kind of flow in and out a little bit. Originally, I'm from Newcastle upon Tyne, so I'm a Geordie. I was born in Newcastle upon Tyne, and my dad was in the RAF. So we moved around in the country, primarily in the Midlands area, RAF Cosford, RAF Shawbury, and finally we were in RAF Valley in Wales. So I don't think the accent fully stuck, but it does come back when I get on the telephone or FaceTime with my brother and my dad. So yeah, it does come in and out occasionally.
Yeah, I'm sure. I actually know all about this moving around, by the way, because I spent 40 years in the military. So I've lived everywhere from Scotland down to Winchester and all points in between. So I do know exactly what you're talking about. Now I see that you're a borough councillor, and you're hoping to be elected as a county councillor. Will you be able to retain both of those appointments? And if so, what would be the benefit to the local community, Steve?
Sure, it's a good question, and there are a number of kind of what are kind of dual-hatted councillors, as it were. So, for example, in the your court and Oriel and Cuddington, you're part of the borough. You've got Eva Kington, who is your current county councillor and also a borough councillor, and he's been doing that dual-hatted role for local residents for a number of years now, doing a great job. So yeah, you can do the dual hatting. You can be borough and county councillor together, and part of the kind of benefit that I see of doing that is you get there are certain services which are borough driven or borough supported, and certain services which are provided by the county. So if you have one person which is kind of dual hatted, then residents can actually contact that one person and hopefully just get that one person to help drive any questions and queries, rather than being possibly pushed around from pillar to post, which may sometimes happen.
Do you know something? I really didn't know that you could be a borough councillor and at the same time a county councillor. I've learned something new already today, which is really good, Steve. So I'm delighted about that. Now, if you're getting ready to persuade people to vote for you, obviously normal times we'd be canvassing. So when does your canvassing start?
It's a really good question as well. So the canvassing side of it, officially we were allowed to start basically delivering leaflets, delivering manifestos, and going door knocking to canvass. That started yesterday. So government's advice meant that we could actually start doing that on the 8th of March. So there are five our resident association candidates for Surrey County Council that we're putting forward, and we're affectionately known in the group as the Five Amigos, and we meet regularly. And we decided actually going canvassing and knocking on people's doors wasn't possibly the most responsible thing to do at this particular point in time. we're just coming out of these various stages of lockdown. So at the moment, what we decided to do is not to go door knocking and canvassing with people. Some people are still shielding, etc., etc. So there are a number of ways that you can talk with your prospective candidates: email, telephone call, a Zoom kind of conversation, or you can ask us to basically come to your house and we will socially distance and have a chat with you on the doorstep. So, so there are a number of ways, but at this point in time, I think it's a bit too soon to actually go around knocking on doors, trying to have a chat with people.
I think that's a decision that's been made by the 5 amigos. Is that correct? And what are the 5 amigos?
So it's my turn for our little group. So it would be myself, Steve McCormick. You have Neil Dallin, John Beckett, Jan Mason, and Eva Kington. So they're all resident association candidates for the upcoming Surrey County Council elections. For within the borough, there are 5 divisions. So there are effectively 2 layers of local government. There's a borough level where you have your wards and your borough councillors, and then there's a level above it which you have your county councillors as well. So I just called us the 5 amigos just for something to make it a bit more interesting, I guess. But there we go.
I think it's a really quaint little name. But have you had any comment about that, by the way, Steve? You know, using the word amigos.
Well, there was a comment whether it was appropriate, because we have Jan there as well, and we've got four men and one woman there. But we did check, and it is actually a gender kind of neutral term, as it were. So we're fine. It just means amigo is like a friend, and it's gender neutral. So we did check it, but yeah, it's all good.
Okay, well, just going back to the leafleting, if I may, for a minute. It's you've got, dare I say, joined up writing here. And
Yeah.
5 of you are doing the same in the same 5 divisions, whereas I noticed that with the magazines that come out at ward level, for example, here we are in Cuddington, and the Cuddingtonian, we're about, hopefully next week or the week after, certainly before the 22nd of March, we'll have distributed our magazine through the door, through the letterboxes. Whereas I know some areas are now keeping it purely online, so people can view via the online mechanism of social media.
Yeah, so I mean, across the whole borough, there are a number of resident association groups that exist, and they have different resourcing, different people supporting them, and it comes down to how people feel, whether or not they feel comfortable delivering physical leaflets and newsletters, or whether they actually have the people to do it. So a point you mentioned there as well was, we have the 5 candidates coming forward, and we share a similar kind of message. Those messages will differ slightly depending upon each division and the specifics within each division. So it's not just one manifesto across the 5 divisions. It will be tailored to each division. But the delivery of newsletters and leaflets, we certainly rely on volunteers to do that, and we're not pushing people to go out when they don't want to. And as I say, some people may still be shielding and still have issues going on. So we're going to do our best with what we've got.
Yeah, okay, I can see that, but again, I'm going back to the leafleting because you've made a complete view that no, you're not going to leaflet, but I think that some of the other candidates from other parties are actually going to be dropping leaflets through the door. So it becomes a bit of a strange thing, isn't it? When I could get stuff from one party but not from another.
So sorry, just to clarify, we will be dropping leaflets. We will be distributing leaflets door to door. What we won't be doing is we won't be knocking on doors, canvassing, as in knocking on your door saying, "Hi Graham, how are you doing? Can we have a talk with you? I'm the candidate for X, Y, and Z." So we're allowed to leaflet, and we're allowed to basically drop in a socially distanced, responsible way, which is what we're planning to do. But we are not at this point in time going to go and knock on doors and canvass and talk to people in that way. That we're providing a number of different ways to do that in a socially socially distant, responsible way. We don't think it's too soon to do that. There are so many people out there that are, as I mentioned, that are probably still shielding and so forth. So that view may change as we go forward, as we get a better picture rolling up to May 6th. But at the moment, we've taken that decision not to do that.
No, I think it's a very logical step to take, and thank you for clarifying that, Steve, because I was getting a little bit confused in my simple little mind here, but hopefully everybody else now fully understands that. Now, if you can't canvass in person, is there a mechanism now whereby people can connect with you directly, or with the Five Amigos even directly?
Yeah. I'm probably going to get told off for calling us the Five Amigos, but yeah, I mean, we can provide. We're going to have group Zoom sessions with the 5 of us on there. We're going to hold those weekly, so people can drop in on that and ask us questions if they want, and they can telephone us, email, request if they want. Send us an email saying, "Hey, Steve, I'd like to have a chat with you. Can you come at this particular time and day?" And we'll come along and basically make sure that, knock on the door and stand the 2 meters and be masked up and be responsible about that. So there are mechanisms to allow people to ask us any questions about what we're standing for, and if we do become elected, what we're going to do, and so forth. So there are alternate mechanisms, but at the moment, we just don't feel comfortable in actually going to knock on people's door to canvass. Leafleting, we're doing that, but not knocking on people's door to canvass at this point.
Okay, Steve. So I think one of the questions that I would like to ask is, should you be successful as a candidate and you become a Surrey County Councillor, what's going to be your main drive? What are you really looking for? How do you think you can improve things? How can you make life better for the community in which you are representing? That's the question.
Yeah, it's $1 million question, isn't it?
It's indeed.
It is.
That's why I asked it.
I know. I thought you said you weren't going to ask that one. So yeah, I mean, fundamentally, I'm a local resident. I'm a local person looking after local interests in the community. I gel with the resident association ethos because it's not a national party politics driven type approach. That there isn't anything above it. There's no kind of national driver there. But equally, one of the things that I want to try and do, if elected at Surrey level, would be to basically push forward some of the borough items and the county issues where they do have some synergies. So, for example, trees. I'm an avid tree hugger, as it were. I'm heavily involved with the Epsom and Ewell Tree Advisory Board. This group's been running for 25 years plus, founded by Mike Ford and Jeremy from Epsom and Ewell Borough Council. They helped pull that together many years ago. And there's a lot of talk about climate change, and I just basically want to push and get trees in the ground. And you'd think it's easy, it's not. So it's not simple to do that. So that's one area: climate change, the environment, trees in the ground, to push that agenda.
Okay. And our highways, please, Steve.
Yeah, I mean, highways, you talk about Chelsea tractors, you almost do need a Surrey tractor to drive around. I cycle as well, so I'm a cycling champion for Epsom and Ewell Borough Council. And you go out on a road bike and you do need like a full suspension mountain bike to go out, because the roads are terrible. And again, yeah, I mean, there are challenges, there are funding challenges and so forth, but there has to be a balance to be driven, have to be a balance to be found. And Epsom and Ewell is one of the most heavily used areas, and we're such a small borough, but we get a massive amount of traffic, so we need to make sure that balance is correct going forward. So that would be another item on there. School places, making sure school places are available, education. I don't have children, but equally, good friends of mine are in the teaching profession, so you kind of hear from the coalface the challenges they're all facing. And again, the kids have gone back to school on the 8th of March. And the amount of effort that parents have gone through in the pandemic to do homeschooling, and equally all of the teachers that have done that to support that, you know, hats off to them. Yeah, it's an amazing effort, and we just need to support them as best we can.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with all of those. Now, the other bit is you touched on Epsom and Ewell Tree Advisory. Now, this is leading me down the path of, I want to know more about Steve McCormick, the man. I'm seeing the councillor, okay, but yeah, I want to know a little bit more about you. And I did a little bit of research, Steve, and I can do that in lockdown time. Yeah. So I did a little bit of research, and I went around a couple of sites and found out what you're involved in, and I was pretty intrigued, first of all, with Rosebery Park. Now, tell me a little bit. I don't even know where Rosebery Park is, to be honest, because I'm on the dark side of Epsom and Ewell.
Rosebery Park is literally just behind me in Woodcote Ward, so it's very, very close to the town centre, to Epsom town centre, and it's a chunk of land that was given to the borough by Lord Rosebery just over 100 years ago now. And so what happened was, I think in 2012, the Borough Council basically reached out to the community to basically say they were looking for friends groups to help support and interject and provide feedback into all of the parks. So across all of the borough, you've got all of the parks, and nearly all of them have got friends groups, and there's an overlaying group on the top of it called the Friends of Epsom and Ewell Park, so FEEP. So there's a lot going on. There are a lot of people involved in the background, and we sit there with Epsom and Ewell Borough Councillor, with the Rangers, with all of the with Sam and with Sandra and in Borough Council, basically feeding back what we would like to happen within the parks, and specifically in Rosebery Park. And generally, you know, it all gets done, and that's part of the reason why they're so amazing. So yeah, I got involved in about 2012.
Yeah, it's we over in Cuddington over here we have the Friends of Shadbolt Park, and they get together and maintain the wonderful little parkland there, and they're out there on a Saturday morning, a group of them, whilst they can, social distancing when they have to, and doing all of that. But I see that Rosebery Park is also quite a busy park in normal times, because you have the opportunity to host events there and do some other things. So I managed to dig out a couple of things. Just have a look. Yeah,
so the Echoes of the Past, these are kind of reenactment pieces that were basically done within the park in conjunction with Bourne Hall, with the museum. The top right picture there is the Epsom and Ewell Silver Band. So my brother-in-law plays in that band, and so that's where the link is, that he and I were talking, and I basically said to him, do you do outdoor events? And he went, yeah. So we booked it, and they came along, and they played for a few hours there. Obviously with lockdown, they haven't been able to do that, but I've provisionally got them booked in to play, hopefully, if everything lines up, at the end of August this year. So you know, fingers crossed for that one. And there's some on the bottom picture there. You've got Stuart Cocker from Epsom and Ewell Borough Council, and you've got some friends of Rosebery Park behind there, helping out, clearing away doing some works in the park. So again, we have those working parties arranged with the Borough Council and with the Rangers, etc. So there's a lot going on generally.
Yeah, no, very, very good indeed. And actually, I'm hoping, I haven't got round to it yet, but Epsom and Ewell Silver Band are on my to-do list. You know, because I'd love to get them on the it'd be even great to get the whole band on the show. You know, but I'm sure we could get some VT of that or something else like that. So it'd be really nice to get them on at some particular time in the future. Now, I see you're also a member of the Woodcote Epsom Residents Society, and so I've got just a little map here, which is something quite straightforward. Yeah, there you go, Epsom and Ewell. There's the crest and everything, and I put up the map of Epsom and Ewell as the borough, and quite fascinated to see that there you are, right down at the bottom, Steve, in the south, and right up in the north at the top is Cuddington, where I am.
Yeah,
Polar opposites. bits.
Yeah, north and south, isn't it? So yeah, the Woodcote ward within the borough is quite large, as you can see. It covers not just the Woodcote ward; it covers Langley Vale as well. So Langley Vale and the racecourse, which is obviously key to the local, well, one of the key areas to the local industry and what's going on at the moment. So yeah, it's quite a big ward to look after, which is good.
Yeah, I can see that. And you mentioned earlier the Epsom Mule Tree Advisory Board.
Mm-hmm.
You are a busy man, Steve. Right, you are a busy man. Here we go. Let's have a look.
Yeah, so the Epsom Mule Tree Advisory Board, Mike Ford has been a long time member, founder of that, and Kevin Greening has taken over the chair position of that group now, which is excellent. A huge amount of support. Our numbers are growing as well. A lot of people are getting more and more interested in trees and climate change. And so the picture on the left-hand side is actually a picture of a tree in Roseby Park. So there was a project to basically create a tree trail within Roseby Park, and that was funded by one of the friends. And Mike Ford helped with the Tree Advisory Board to identify all of the trees, the Latin names and the English names. And so there's a tree trail in there as well. And there's a PDF available on the website if you want that one.
That I'll come back to that slide in a second, Steve. But I just wanted to ask you the question here. That tree trail, that's kind of like a London and more kind of wider project, isn't it? I think, because I know that here at Cuddington we've got a tree trail set up, and identifying every single tree, you're not only identifying it but counting it, finding how many of each particular variety there are. So it's quite an involved organization, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean the Tree Advisory Board. So the piece that you're talking about is there is an app. Wendy Leveridge has been involved, has been systematic in this from the Shadbolt and from your side of it in pushing the application. So there's an app that's available, and we'll provide that detail for folks that want it, and it identifies where all the trees are. And a lot of work's been done on that to actually to help map that out across the borough. It's not done. It's not finished, but a lot of the work has been done.
Okay, thank you. I'm just going to talk to our wonderful viewers at the moment and say that if you have got a question for Steve, press the comments button, write something in, ask the question, and I'll put it up on screen and we can ask Steve. You can find out about trees, you can find out about roads, whatever it is, whatever the subject is you want to talk about, just feel free to do that. In the meantime, let's go back to trees. Here's the picture we had up. Tell me about the other two. The other two are basically, so we've been trying to get trees planted, street trees primarily planted in the borough for probably about 3-4 years. And where we are trying to get them in the ground, we're finding that they're expensive. They really are expensive to buy, especially the bigger ones with more growth on them. So we've got I've got a couple of allotments, and I've got some space in there, and we're building out a tree nursery. So we're getting it set up so that we can put some saplings in there and growing some trees from seed with the volunteers, etc. Rather than all these saplings, etc., being grown in people's back gardens, we'll pull them into one central place. And the idea is that we'll grow them over the years and offer them for free into the borough. And if we have excess, then they'll go into the county or further afield. So that's the idea anyway. Okay, no, it's sounds like a really good project that you're involved in there. And you've also got some allotments as well. Yeah. So it's no end to what you're doing. It's quite amazing. And to boot, you've recently become a member of the Rotary Club in Epsom. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I kind of wrote myself into these things. So I was doing some volunteer work recently with the Royal British Legion, and also there was some work at one of the local cottage hospitals, and I got talking with the chap at the top left-hand side there, Clive Richardson, and he's the president of Epsom Rotary. I got talking, and then before I know it, I'm joining the meetings and finding out more and more about what the Rotary Club does, and they do some tremendous work.
And I know, for example, my brother-in-law, a different brother-in-law, Roy, he's heavily involved with Rotary Club in the Tunbridge Wells area. So we've spoken about it before, and it does so much good work, and it's one of those things where you can't not get involved to actually help them do what they do.
Yeah, and I believe they've been doing a lot during the lockdown period, particularly very close to you at the Epsom General Hospital. They've been supporting the NHS there, and with all sorts of bits of stuff, including delivering food, I believe. So I applaud all the great work that Rotary are doing. And Steve, would you believe they're also on my to-do list?
Well, I can provide you with the links now if you wish.
Yeah. That's exactly what's going through my mind. Look, Steve, I don't know where the time's gone, but I just want to thank you for coming on the show today. It's been fascinating finding out a little bit about the election process for candidates and getting to know about your many wider interests. So good luck with your campaign and with everything else you're involved with. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's Steve McCormick. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you very much, Graham, and thank you everybody for watching. Thank you.
Absolute pleasure. I'd like to thank the Cuddington Residents Association for their continued support of this channel KT4. In the next couple of weeks, the Cuddingtonian should be dropping through your letterbox, and there's a new feature. It's called Cuddingtonian Cooks, would you believe? And it's a recipe page. And the first recipe is from our friend and neighbor who hails from Syria, and that's Hamid Al-Hashid. Also, a big thank you to the Epsom Refugee Centre for suggesting having a recipe page in the Cuddingtonian. Well done, and a big thank you for that. So join me next week when I'll be talking with Lisa Davis, the CEO of Epsom and Ewell Citizens Advice. Until then, stay safe and have a great week. Bye now.